Have you ever thought of someone, only to have them call you seconds later? Have you stumbled across the perfect book, the exact phrase, the precise symbol you needed, at just the right moment, for no logical reason? Carl Jung had a word for this. Synchronicity, not luck. Not chance, not mere coincidence, but a mysterious pattern beneath the surface of reality. A hidden weave of meaning connecting inner and outer worlds, psyche and matter, dream and event. It all began with a moment that defied explanation. Jung was in session with a skeptical patient, a woman locked in rationality. She told him about a dream where she was given a golden scarab, a symbol of transformation in Egyptian myth. Just then, as if summoned by the unconscious, a scarab beetle tapped at the window behind Jung. A real one, a rare one. He caught it, handed it to her, and her walls cracked open. It wasn't proof, but it was something more powerful, meaning. Jung called this kind of moment a synchronistic event, a coincidence that is so emotionally charged, so symbolically perfect, that it seems orchestrated not by logic, but by a deeper intelligence. He defined synchronicity as an acausal connecting principle. Two events, unrelated by cause, connected by meaning. And he believed it pointed to something vast. In this video, we'll explore Jung's theory of synchronicity, what it is, how he discovered it, and why it still matters today. We'll look at his work with physicist Wolfgang Pauli, his reflections in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, and the philosophical question synchronicity poses to science and soul alike. Because if what happens in your mind and what happens in the world can mirror each other without causation, then reality is far stranger and more enchanted than we thought. Jung believed that synchronicity reveals the invisible architecture of the psyche, and that sometimes when you are most awake, the world whispers back. Jung's journey into synchronicity began not in science, but in experience. Throughout his life, he encountered strange coincidences, dreams that came true, symbols that emerged in therapy sessions, and then appeared in the physical world, moments of uncanny timing that seemed far too meaningful to be chance. He wasn't alone. His patients described similar experiences. He began to wonder, could there be another kind of connection, not based on cause and effect, but on meaning? He found the answer in what he called synchronicity. Jung defined synchronicity as the occurrence of two or more events that are meaningfully related, but not causally connected. In other words, there's no scientific explanation for why they happen together, but they do. And the connection is deeply personal. The scarab story is now famous. A woman told Jung about her dream of a golden scarab, a symbol of rebirth. At that moment, a scarab beetle, rare in Switzerland, tapped on the window. Jung handed it to her. She broke down. Her rational defenses collapsed. The dream and reality had merged. That was the turning point in her therapy. But how could this happen? Jung believed that synchronicity emerges when the inner world, psyche, and the outer world, events, are in alignment, not by force but by resonance. He saw it as an expression of the archetypes, deep symbolic structures that exist in the collective unconscious and shape both personal experience and the patterns of nature. So when an archetype is activated in your psyche, through crisis, longing, awakening, it may also appear in the world through symbols, people, or events, not because you caused it, but because it echoes the same field of meaning. Bring Jung and Pauli, science meets soul. This wasn't just mysticism. Jung spent years developing the idea with Nobel Prize-winning physicist Wolfgang Pauli, one of the pioneers of quantum mechanics. Pauli had long been fascinated by the parallels between physics and psychology. Together, they explored the mystery of acausal order, patterns that arise not from linear cause, but from the underlying fabric of reality. Pauli had observed quantum events that seemed to choose their outcome based on the observer. Jung had witnessed patients whose dreams predicted events or aligned with cosmic symbols. They wondered, could both be pointing to a deeper principle? They called it unus mundus, the one world. A field where psyche and matter are not separate, but expressions of the same reality. Jung proposed that synchronicity may be a glimpse into this deeper unity. Repeat button timing and transformation. Jung noticed that synchronicities tend to occur during periods of psychological intensity. Death, birth, crisis, deep transformation. It's as if the veil thins when we are most raw, when the ego loosens its grip, and the unconscious has more room to move. During these moments, the outer world seems to respond to the inner world. A stranger says exactly what you've been thinking. A book falls off the shelf with a line that answers your deepest question. You have a dream, and the next day life mirrors it. These are not proof of anything, but to Jung they were invitations, markers of a deeper rhythm. Reminders that we live not in a machine, but in a mystery. Cyclone what synchronicity reveals. So what does synchronicity mean for the way we live? First, it challenges the belief that everything must have a mechanical cause. It opens the door to a more symbolic, participatory reality, where meaning matters just as much as logic. Second, it suggests that your unconscious is not confined to your skull. It interacts with the world. It shapes perception, and sometimes it shapes events, though not in a linear way. Jung believed that synchronicity is not about control. You can't force it. You can't predict it. It emerges when the psyche is attuned, and when the ego is open enough to notice. It requires a different kind of attention, not seeking but seeing, not forcing but following, not proving but participating. Person in lotus position synchronicity in spiritual practice. Many spiritual traditions speak of meaningful coincidences. The Taoist concept of the Tao is about flowing with the natural rhythm of life. Indigenous cultures often speak of spirit signs or messages from nature. The Christian mystic might call it divine providence. Jung believed that synchronicity was a modern doorway to ancient wisdom. In a disenchanted world, it re-enchants. It reminds us that we are not isolated egos in a dead universe. We are participants in a living field of meaning. But, and this is crucial, synchronicity is not magic. It's not about superstition or spiritual ego. Jung warned that chasing signs can become a defense against doing real inner work. The point is not to seek synchronicity, but to be present enough to recognize it when it arrives. Because sometimes the soul speaks in whispers, and the universe answers with a mirror. Carl Jung's theory of synchronicity asks us to reimagine what it means to live in this world. Not as isolated minds bouncing around in a meaningless machine, but as souls immersed in a field of living symbols, dreams, patterns, and echoes. He saw that sometimes the world responds, not because we make it, but because we are in it. And when we're listening, when our psyche is open, our ego softened, our attention attuned, the invisible patterns emerge. You meet someone who changes your life on the day you almost stayed home. You see a symbol in your dream, then see it again in the waking world, pulsing with meaning. You feel lost, and the right book, word, or sign arrives as if called. Coincidence? Maybe, but Jung would ask, what if the coincidence itself is the message? He didn't see synchronicity as proof of the supernatural. He saw it as a reminder of wholeness, of the deep interconnectedness between the inner and outer, the soul and the world. To notice synchronicity is not to believe in magic. It is to live as if meaning matters. And it's to ask better questions. What archetype is moving in me right now? What is life trying to show me, not with answers but with rhythm? And can I trust the mystery enough to listen? Jung once said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. So perhaps the question is not whether it's real. Perhaps the question is, are you paying attention? Because the next whisper might not come from a dream or a voice in your head. It might come from the wind, from the street, from a stranger, from the scarab at your window. And if you're watching, you just might recognize it, not as chance, but as the moment when the world said, yes, I see you.